How would you compare and contrast Ghana to Liberia, and which one do you prefer most? You look, your people gonna be like, you're not Liberian no more.
Nah, my Liberian people love me. So here's the thing. Okay, sometimes I realize how traumatized I am. For instance, last night we was at a lounge spot and the power went out, and I thought that I was going to freak out. I thought the people around me was going to freak out, because in America they probably would have. Right? In America, the person that was looking at your chain probably would have snatched it.
Exactly.
Right? The person that was holding his gun probably would have busted a couple of shots up in the air. Right? So when the power went out, everybody just sat still. Just waited for it to come back on. It was out for like a minute, and then everybody cheered when they came back on, and carried on.
Nice. So what kind of budget did you start with? For the people who want to get into real estate, what did you start with?
No money at all.
Wow.
And
how did you invest into something without no money?
Desire, heart, and labor. Right?
Nice.
The passion for learning. Because the people that want to teach you, they want to teach you, but they don't want to waste their time. So if they're going to invest in you, you got to give them a return on their investment. So fast forward 20 years, that same partner that taught me real estate can call me and say, hey, I got this deal. Do you want in? And I become a partner because I can bring my portion of equity to the deal.
Yes.
And if he didn't teach me nothing, he couldn't make that phone call. And then he don't have a brother that's going to be an equity partner.
Okay.
And then they say sometimes whenever if you want to follow leadership, is very certain words, very small amount of words that will be said to you. They said when Jesus chose his disciple, he said, you come with me. That was it. So my childhood friend, whose name is Diallo, who's really, really heavily invested here in Ghana, he told me, just come.
Just come.
Yep.
Don't over plan, over prepare. If it's meant for you, it's definitely just going to align for you.
Listen, I mean, that was his instructions. He was like, just come. Because he was basically saying, you have the vision. Once you get here, you'll see what you need to see for yourself. So I don't have to sell it to you. I don't have to pitch it to you. Just come.
Yeah. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lala, and today I'm here with Musah Lotallah.
Musah Lotallah.
Okay, Musah Lotallah.
Yes.
And where are you from? Because that name, the last I heard, Musah is a Sierra Leone guy.
Musah's a common West African name. So for one, there's two really famous Musahs, right? So you have the prophet in Islam is Musah, and then you have the richest man in the world who was Mansa Musa.
Okay.
So I think I'm more named after the prophet.
So can you please introduce yourself? I know you're an entrepreneur, land developer. I met him here at Chateau Nana.
Yes, we're at Chateau Nana now. And that's right. I'm an entrepreneur. I started out as an electrician, basically. And I had a mentor who also is my partner here in Chateau. And he introduced me to real estate development. So I'm a real estate developer in Metro Atlanta. I build houses all over, almost 20 years, all over Georgia, just put it like that.
Nice.
And real estate's always been my passion.
So how did you get into real estate, and how did it lead you here to Ghana?
For one, I guess when I was young, I knew that people that had wealth owned real estate. So it was a vision of mine to get in. I didn't know how I was going to get in. Yeah. Right. So I didn't know if I needed to go to school, because most people think you got to go to school and get like your real estate agent license or whatever. And I don't own a real estate agent license. Wow. But I met a mentor. For one, I come from a family of electricians, so I've always been around construction. Right. Nice. So then I met a guy. He was like, forget doing electrical work, build the whole thing. And I never knew what land development was at that time. So basically he said, get in there, cut those trees down and stick a house in there. And that's how I started.
Nice. So what kind of budget did you start with for the people who want to get into real estate? What did you start with?
No money at all.
Wow.
And
how did you invest into something without no money?
Desire, heart, and labor, right?
Nice.
The passion for learning, because the people that want to teach you, they want to teach you, but they don't want to waste their time.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to invest in you, you got to give them a return on their investment.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward 20 years, that same partner that taught me real estate can call me and say, hey, I got this deal. Do you want in? And I become a partner because I can bring my portion of equity to the deal.
Yes.
And if he didn't teach me nothing, he couldn't make that phone call. And then he don't have a brother that's going to be an equity partner.
Okay. So how long did how long did you learn about the basics required to, get into real estate and succeed?
Well, put it like this. Don't forget, I went through 2008 where the real estate crash happened. Mm-hmm. So I started out with my mentor. He gave me 12 houses. I built those 12 houses. He did a split that was in his favor. I didn't have no problem because at that time I was a student. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that's really lacking is the apprenticeship programs, right? Mm-hmm. So basically I was his apprentice for those first 12. And then I went out on my own. And as soon as I went out on my own, 2008 came. And took everything. Yeah.
So it's just everything just aligned basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So how did you get here to Ghana? What was your first time experience and why did you decide to invest in this country?
Okay. So first, let's say this. My history with Africa is all over the place. For one, I grew up my whole life thinking I was just Liberian, right? So I was born in New York to Liberian parents. I left New York at my early age and went to Liberia, but came back from Liberia to go to school. So Africa was already a part of me. I just spent about 30 years away from Africa.
Yeah.
Going through school and being raised in the US. Mm-hmm. And then they say sometimes whenever if you want to follow leadership, is very certain words, very small amount of words that will be said to you. Mm-hmm. They said when Jesus chose his disciple, he said, you come with me. Mm-hmm. That was it. So my childhood friend, whose name is Diallo, who's really, really heavily invested here in Ghana, he told me, just come.
Just come.
Yep.
Don't over plan, over prepare. If it's meant for you, it's definitely just going to align for you.
Listen, I mean, that was his instructions. He was like, just come. Mm-hmm. Because he was basically saying, you have the vision. Once you get here, you'll see what you need to see for yourself. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to sell it to you. I don't have to pitch it to you. Just come.
Yeah.
And
that's what I've been trying to convince people, but they don't listen.
Yeah.
But you got to see it for yourself sometimes.
You got to see it for yourself and you got to feel it for yourself.
Yes.
You also got to feel what you're missing. Mm-hmm. Right? So you got to feel what's new and you got to realize you don't have to hold on to what's old.
Yeah. So I met you here at Diallo's event and it was the opening of this place.
Yep.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys came into business together and how is it doing so far?
Diallo's my childhood friend. So, we've been rocking for a long time since Trenton, New Jersey days. As far as Chateau, how that came about was my main partner, Elijah, was doing some, always looking to searching out good deals as people who are in real estate development does. And I think he stumbled upon this opportunity and he's seen the vision of a boutique hotel, which will kind of be our proof of concept because a lot of this stuff is self-funded. So with the collection of brothers that we have, as a collective, we can do a proof of concept without hurting our pockets too much, right? Because individually, it may be a big burden for us, but collectively, we all can pitch in.
So in easier words, unite.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Yes.
Team.
Teamwork is definitely the way to succeed here in Ghana.
Yep.
And then there's more eyes on the project. So what is your role here in Chateau Nana?
Really, I'm just an investor here. And a lot of us, are from the real estate side, and some of us are from the restaurant side, and some of us from the tourism side. So my vision and what I bring to the table is more on the real estate side. And then I let the professionals do what the professionals do. And that's why we partner with people in different aspects of the business. Because, you know, sometimes you got to be a student. You know? Sometimes you got to let people be Batman. You got
you got to know how to play your role. You know,
exactly.
I play basketball. So me personally, like, that has taught me so much about life. Have you ever played sports?
I played football.
Yeah, so you know, everybody can't play the same role. You need a quarterback, you need a running back, you need a defense. Everybody has to, you know, chip in where you're,
I
specialized.
Agree. Sometimes in some roles, I am Batman. And then sometimes, you know, I'm Robin. And sometimes I'm all the way in the back and I don't got nothing to say. I'm just listening because I'm a student.
Yes.
And all of that kind of helped your growth.
Yeah. So when I came here, was there an apprenticeship program that you guys were doing, or a way for some people to partner with you? Is that still an opportunity for the outsiders?
Oh, yes, definitely. We're working on IA54. Which is a fractional ownership platform. And we're going to be launching that soon because we want everybody to kind of get involved with African real estate. And with IA54, the common man can get in, the educated investor can get in, the plumber, the electrician, you know, the carpenter, like we're going to make it easy for everyone to invest at their level. So we may have a project and say, this is what's coming up. You can own a fraction of this property per your pockets or per your investments. So that's coming up, and we're going to be onboarding a lot of projects for people to take a look at. And that's one of the biggest things in Africa, because, you know, sometimes finding funding here is kind of tough.
Yeah, I'm sure. So when does this program start, and how can people reach out to you if they want to be a part of it?
You can reach us at investafrica.com. I'm sorry, investafrica54.com. And basically, maybe early next year, we probably release some more details about it. And that way, and also, I think the best way right now is just follow us on Instagram, InvestAfrica54.
Oh, that's what you were talking about with the real estate. That's what you were talking about earlier. So do you feel like real estate is a needed skill here in Ghana? And I mean, how would you go about introducing it to the youth here? Do you feel like this is something they could benefit from? Sometimes when you try to find a business to invest in, and some of my mentors taught me, basically invest in something that everybody touches, right? So there's one guy who invented the stripe on the $100 bill in America, the transparent stripe, and that was his goal. He said, I want to invent something that everybody touches. Right? And now that stripe has been sold to like 25, 30 different countries. So if you think about it from that standpoint, Dan Goldie, who's one of the richest Africans, he invests in something that everybody touches, which is concrete. So real estate is another thing that everybody needs. Everybody touches it. Everybody wants to go home and have a place, a roof over their head. So that's another investment that's always going to be lucrative if it's done the right way. Do you see any other opportunities? What's something that you see that, you know, they could benefit from learning here?
Definitely. I think once you come to Africa and you have the vision of making things better, some products, if you change it 10% or make it 10% better, it's a different product, right? I mean, think about the iPhone. The iPhone really hasn't really changed since the first iPhone. It's just, it's a camera upgrade. And then it's a new iPhone. And then we run to the store and we buy it. It's a 10% change. They do a new upgrade. They upgrade the software. They give us some new colors and blah blah blah, and we go crazy to go and buy it. Right. So that's a 10%. So if you look at any business that you think you can add 10% of value, that may be the business that you may want to invest in, or you may find it very lucrative by making that 10% change.
I agree. You know, I used to sell clothes, and that's something that I recognize when I label it phase 1 jacket, phase 2, phase 3. Everybody's like, oh, I got the phase 1, phase 2, and the phase 3, just like Jordans or like you said, the iPhone 1, 2, 3. You know, they feel like they have to get it. So yeah, that's a good tip. So you said you left Africa. You didn't know anything
except Liberia. So how would you compare and contrast Ghana to Liberia, and which one do you prefer most? You on the spot. Look, your people gonna be like, you're not Liberian no more.
Nah. My Liberian people love me. So here's the thing. Okay, let me finish telling you. Hold on. Before you do this,
you knew the journalism was coming.
Yeah, I know. So hold on. Let me just finish saying this. Like I said, I thought my whole life I was just Liberian.
Oh yeah,
I did my African ancestry DNA test, and it came out that my DNA is Akan. Right, I'm from the Akan tribe of Ghana. Right, so during slavery, they captured my family from somewhere in Ghana in the Akan region, and it could be Sierra Leone. I think it's in Akan, Sierra Leone, but the Akan tribe was where my DNA came from. Wow. So then we got shipped to the Americas, maybe even Barbados, or maybe America itself, and my family did that Marcus Garvey movement back to Africa. So I have about 100 to 150 year history in Liberia. Right? So let's say my Liberian food is number one and my place of residence is Ghana.
I've heard good things about Liberian food. Do you serve jollof rice here?
Oh man,
it's the best. I've heard in Senegal.
Yes,
too. But yeah, I've heard Liberia. I need to go to Liberia then and see what that's about.
So I think the struggles with every African nation is the same. We struggle with leadership. We struggle with infrastructure. We struggle with just a vision on how to prosper, provide, and move the country forward. And we also got to understand there's some powers that be. It's some powers that try to keep us exactly where we are. Yeah. So if whatever African country you're in, if their leadership is trying their best to maneuver around those powers, then you're going to see your country and your countrymen try to advance the country, right? Yeah. So, we got some obstacles in our way, but we're not afraid of the task. We just want leadership to be on board with this.
Yeah. So what would you say to the people who say, oh, the leadership is better in America and it's more developed in America, so why not invest there instead of investing in West Africa, Ghana, Liberia, or anywhere you see potential?
I think Africa is a black man or black woman's heaven, right? You have an Indian guy that can go to India, be surrounded by Indian traditions, Indian language, Indian food, Indian music, and he's in heaven. The Chinese man can go to China and have those same experiences 100% completely. The black man in America, we're always taught that we're like a second-class citizen to some degree, right? So where can we experience that first-class feeling in our own country?
Exactly.
It's Africa, right? So for the people that haven't had that feeling, just come.
Not even just black people too, black descendants, like people who have black in them, like Cuban, Brazilian. I've heard a Brazilian woman come here and say, wow, this is heaven. And her husband is building here. So it's anyone who can relate to this type of environment, I think it'd be beneficial.
The shocking part to me, and I've witnessed this in Senegal, I witnessed this in Liberia, I witnessed this in Ghana. Until I open my mouth, I'm like 100% African. They think that I look like one of their family members. I was in Senegal, people were speaking to me in Wolof, and then I have to reply in my New Jersey accent, and they're shocked. Right?
Wow.
The same thing in Ghana, the same thing in Liberia. So, like I said, my DNA is West African. So I look just like a West African. And even though I was raised somewhere else, but that's the connection I'm trying to regain when I'm here, right? So I don't feel the discrimination. I don't feel police is going to, take me to jail for something I probably didn't do. It's like some stresses that's kind of off of you. Yeah.
So what do you not miss when you leave America and you come to Africa or Ghana in specific?
What I don't miss about America?
Yeah, what don't you miss while you're here?
Sometimes I realize how traumatized I am. For instance, last night we was at a lounge spot and the power went out, and I thought that I was going to freak out. I thought the people around me was going to freak out because in America they probably would have. right? In America, the person that was looking at your chain probably would have snatched it.
Exactly.
Right? The person that was holding his gun probably would have busted a couple of shots up in the air.
Exactly.
Right? So when the power went out, everybody just sat still. Just waited for it to come back on. It was out for like a minute. And then everybody cheered when they came back on and just carried on. So, I realized some of the traumas that I have from being growing up really in the inner city of America, because maybe some suburban people don't feel the same way.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about Ghana, I'm not really worried about a bunch of citizens with guns and anything can happen anytime, because there's not many guns here. I come from a country where everybody has a gun, and it's like open carry, and you never know.
Yeah, you even speak of a gun in Ghana and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So, all right. So what about, where do you reside most of the year? Do you reside in Ghana or in America?
I'm back and forth, but I reside mostly in America. But I'm making 4, 5, 6 trips a year to Ghana.
So why don't you completely live here?
For one, I got to structure my business in America, because I am still receiving US dollars as far as business. And once I structure my business so that it could kind of run itself, I could probably spend more time here. And then I also got 3 young kids, that kind of need me, that they not maybe on board 100% to make the transition. Yeah. So maybe when they become of age and they understand that I'm going to be gone more and they're settled and straight, then I'll think about that. But those are the 2 reasons.
So have you ever brought your family here?
Oh, definitely. My kids love it. My kids loved it. They surprised me. They was ready to eat street food. Yeah. They saw the lady selling sodas on top of her head. And they was calling her to the car.
Exactly. My daughter does the same thing. So, all right. So what is your least favorite thing about Ghana, or the biggest culture shock you've experienced?
The biggest culture shock to me is just infrastructure, because I'm used to a certain style of zoning. I'm used to sidewalks. I'm used to not open gutters. I'm used to just the elevation of the streetscape to be upscale, because I'm from America, where we have red lights and crosswalks and gutters and sewer systems that's underground. So that's the biggest difference between me coming to Africa and me going to America, is the infrastructure. And then the roads. I just came from Cape Coast, and I felt like I was like a shooken up Coca-Cola.
Exactly. You need a massage after all that boom, 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 bumpy roads. Oh my God.
But let me say, with all that said, I still see the benefit of being here. Yeah. So I think those are some things we can make better. And, not every day is a long 2 or 3 hour drive. So, So what are the benefits of being in Ghana? I think really it's to be around people that look like you. It's the energy. Is definitely the stress-free. Yeah. The stress-free environment.
Yeah. But you deal with stress when it comes to the infrastructure, but then you get a chance to get away from the stress. Is that what you mean?
No, but see, the infrastructure is just when you're traveling, or if you go to one of your restaurants and they say, I don't have the item that you went there to go and buy, right? Because the truck didn't come and the truck broke down, but you can still live, right? Yeah. And then the affordability of living here, right? And then you realize, as an American, we're really just consumers. Yeah. We really just want to buy the latest and greatest and go out to the latest and greatest. It's like we're living like an Instagram life of, let's take a picture to say we've been here. Let's buy this to say that we bought it. And then you realize you need a storage room because you done bought so much stuff and that you don't want to throw away. And now you just over consuming everything. Yeah. And guess what? That don't even make you happy. Yeah. It's so true. And being here, I'm going to be honest. Like, I deal with stress weekly. Like, one day it's like something different. And then when you're trying to get business affairs done, everybody's like, you're going in circles. Yeah. But
you are able to go to the beach and, you know, meditate. You're able to go, you know, just the environment is, like you said, it's so peaceful. But in America, in New York, where I was, you know, you don't really get the chance to, what do you call that? Refresh, regroup, because of the environment there.
In America, the threat of losing everything you have every 30 days is real. That's the stress. So just imagine every 30 days, every 4 weeks, you got to refresh on all of that debt that you owe, right? So if you have the mortgage, if you have the car payment, if you have the insurance, if you have the cell phone, it's all debt.
Yeah.
You got to work. So then, you know, if today is the first, you know, you got 30 days to make up that $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 that you owe on the first again. And then it's like rinse and repeat. And with that much stress on you consistently, you're like, what am I working for?
Exactly. To be left with, you know, a few thousand in savings. Like, that's what the average American has. You
ever heard the story about the rich businessman that went to Mexico? So the rich businessman, he went to Mexico and he seen a village boy. And he was like, hey, he saw the village boy was fishing. He was like, hey, why don't you go and get a bigger boat? And he was like, for what? So you can get more fish and you can sell more fish. He was like, for what? He was like, if I was you, I'll get a big boat. I'll get a whole bunch of fish so I can sell all this fish. And he's like, for what? The Mexican guy's like, for what? He said, so you can retire. And then he's like, what you gonna do when you retire? Probably go fishing. And the Mexican guy's like, that's what I do now. Right?
Wait, what is that a book?
No, it's not a book. It's just a little story, right? It's just a little story on how the Americans work so hard for like 50, you know, till they like 65, so that they can retire and lay on the beach. But the Africans can lay on the beach right now
every day. And you don't really see the luxury of that life.
That's right.
Do you feel like Ghanaians don't really appreciate what they have here in Ghana?
Yeah, I think most people who don't step outside of their day-to-day don't appreciate it. Yeah. Right? Because it always could be worse. Right? So for the average Ghanaian that's probably never been outside of Ghana or never seen anything worse, they'll complain about the government. Yeah. But I'm like, next door is a dictator. Exactly. Right? Like, do you want to
have covert corruption in America that they don't get to see? Right. Yeah.
You know, right now we love Donald Trump. You know, he's the new president. Half of the country love him. You know, we had to go to the voters booth and we had to figure out who we're going to vote for. And at the same time, I feel like Donald Trump may be good for business, but at the same time, he might start World War III.
Exactly. I mean, I don't want to get too political and be like, who do you prefer, Kamala or Trump? But how do you feel like the voting in America affects us here in Africa, in Ghana specifically?
Well, put it like this. I think Trump is going to continue to do whatever he was doing in Africa. I think if Kamala was president, she would try to say boys can remove their body parts and become women. And women can grow beard and become men. So who do you vote for? The guy that's going to start World War III? Or the guy that has the potential to start World War III? Or the lady that's going to tell your kids to take some hormone pills and change into somebody else?
Yeah. You know what I think we should, what we should do more in the Black community is self-governing. Being doing things for ourselves. I'm not saying the leader won't change anything, but I think it's up to us to change our problems.
No, I agree. Regardless of who's in office, you still need to work for yourself. Work on yourself, work for your community, keep some of our money in the community a little bit longer, because those are the things that's really going to make a change. Yeah. And you see the stock market shot up the next day after Trump was elected, because
I know.
The business guys know it's back to business. Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely helped my stocks. Yeah. But, is it going to help the community? Has any leader ever helped Black people in America?
I believe so. I mean, don't forget, we're 13% of the population, right? We can still be under
the minority.
Yeah, we can still be under Jim Crow laws. There's probably some Jim Crow laws that still covert, that we're under, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Yeah, right. Yeah, and we're 13% of the population. Our vote do count some, but we can easily get outvoted.
Yeah.
Right? So the Latino population has surpassed us. A lot of them are really conservative, even though it's a lot of illegal aliens, but a lot of Latinos are conservative. And then you have the conservative whites who still outnumber us. So at the end of the day, we gotta maybe vote our best interests. But I think some politicians know that pitching our best interest at 13% of the population won't win them the election.
So I want to ask you a journalist question.
Okay.
It's very controversial.
Okay. So
a lot of Americans feel like they are born there and they don't have African roots. What do you think about that? Do you think it's true?
I'm going to quote the Ghanaian president, and he quoted Peter Tosh: "If you're a black man, no matter where you're from, you're an African." Point blank, period.
Yeah.
So you could deny it all you want. You walk into certain rooms, they definitely will view you that way. I know some people have been cut off from their lineage here, and that journey of discovery is very difficult and kind of painful. But if you look like the African continent has so many different shades. If you have Black African DNA, you're from Africa.
Yeah. I can't deny mine. I did my DNA ancestry on Ancestry, and it traced me back to Nigeria mostly. And every Nigerian that sees me, they think I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
You know, and they come to me speaking Nigerian. I'm just like, no, I'm Jamaican. And they're like, no. So, you can't deny that, especially the facial features.
Yeah, let me tell the people that's not in America. Most people that's outside of America that has African DNA, there's a whole tribe of people that look just like you. Find your tribe.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
From the Ethiopians to the Kenyans to all of the West African features, right? You'll find your tribe.
So how did you trace your ancestry? Which site did you use? Company?
Well, Diallo motivated me to use AfricanAncestry.com. That was the best one. They have the biggest database of African DNA. So they can actually trace you right to your tribe.
So that's not the same as the one I use?
No, the one, I think, and I used to mix up the names too. That's the commercialized one from America. They'll just give you a region, but not the tribe.
They didn't give me the tribe or anything.
No, but the African Ancestry DNA, they'll give you the tribe.
Okay, good. So what is your future here in Ghana? Do you see yourself eventually living here permanently? And
I'm a Ghanaian citizen now. So
you did get your citizenship. What was that like, and what was the process like? Was it draining? How did you hear about it? Because I didn't hear about it, you guys.
So we just went through the citizenship process, which was really a blessing from the president. Right? But even though it was a blessing from the president, it's been years of work to get the president on board, the minister of diaspora affairs, everybody who's been working to get to tell us to come home. Right. So that's been a blessing.
So what was the process like? Because I didn't hear about it. Everybody was like, did you get your citizenship? No, I didn't. But everything happens for a reason, because you've been here for quite a while. I've only been here 2 years, but how did you hear about it? How long did the process take? And how much did it cost?
It didn't cost that much relative to what we spend in America. So for us, it was probably a few $100s, which could be a few thousand CDs here. The process was really smooth from what you hear of people that have nightmares of trying to get citizenship for 5 or 10 years. For one, when we heard the rumblings of it, we didn't know if it was real or not. And then the same way my partner told me just come, when we got the word that it was for real, it was like, it was this Monday and your interview was the next Monday. They didn't care where you was in the world, right? It was like, we're going to have your interview scheduled. So once we heard that the interviews was going to be scheduled and it was real, we had to leave wherever we was. If you was in Canada, if you was in Jamaica or America, you had to book that ticket. Or if you was local, you just had to show up. But for us, so when I got the final word that it was for real, I left. Even, you know what? Even if it wasn't for real, I still left because it was the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I found out that Monday. I booked my ticket that Thursday. I landed in Ghana that Friday. My interview was that Monday.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel being a citizen, and what are the benefits of being a Ghanaian citizen?
Here's the citizens. The benefits are great because I can buy land. I don't need another person to sign on to my corporation.
Nice.
I can vote. I have a second passport. I have access to all the ECOWAS African countries, right? So I can travel to Nigeria, to Liberia, to Sierra Leone without a visa. Right? Yeah. So it's a lot, but I think the responsibility of continuing to add value is the real flex.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So now that you got the citizenship, now that they told you that you're welcome, what are you going to do? Are you going to make an imprint?
Yeah.
So that's the real flex.
Nice. So why did you choose to come to Ghana and or have you been to other African countries?
I have been to other African countries. For one, I'm an English speaking person. So that kind of eliminates a lot of the French speaking African countries because I just found it harder to go out by myself.
Yeah.
Right. In the French speaking African countries. Liberia was another option, which probably would have been the easiest option for me because I'm so familiar with the culture and I have family there. But for me, I just didn't feel it was ready for the development
that you envisioned.
Yeah. And then the second thing is my team. My team started to build here. So, you know, my brother Diallo was here with the tourism. My other partners was in Senegal and then they relocated. And then once I see that my team was strong here, I decided to join the team.
Yeah.
Because my first couple of years in Ghana, I just drove around looking for land opportunities, but I was only looking for like solo deals.
Yeah.
Right. So then when the team is here, I'm investing with the team 100%.
Yeah, it's a greater advantage.
So at the end of the day, if the team decided to say, okay, we're not in Ghana, we're in Zambia or we're in Gabon, then I probably would have been like, Gabon is my spot.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so it's just a natural alignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, nice. So how long, you said 5 years you've been coming back and forth for 5 years.
Yep.
So realistically, when do you see big changes happening in Ghana? Like, what's the timeline? Like, as far as infrastructure, maybe customer service, things like that.
I've seen a lot changing in 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. I have seen a lot change in the 5 years that I've been going back and forth. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more of an explosion of just people having interest. Especially after what they just saw with the 524 people that got citizenship. The last citizenship ceremony was 112 people.
Wow.
So
when was that?
That was 2022.
Oh.
And that was only the third ever citizenship.
Oh, I hope they do it again because, I want to be a citizen
so
too.
I hear rumblings of another one, but the way I felt after I found out it was 524, I said, you know what, the next time we might can get it to 5,000.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, all right. So what do you see? Like, what is the vision you see for Ghana in 5 years?
This is the metaphor I use for Ghana. And for those of the people who haven't been to Toronto is a melting pot of cultures, right? You have your Arab neighborhoods, you got your Jamaican neighborhoods, you got your Indian neighborhoods, because Toronto in Canada is welcoming to, all of the people that maybe not really refugees, but their immigration process is really easy because they wanted to build up their city. So their country. So at the end of the day, I feel like Ghana is the Toronto of West Africa.
Yeah,
right.
True.
Because you have your Indians here, you have your Lebanese here, you have your Jamaicans here, you have your African Americans here. I see the development if everybody could just continue to bring what they do best and give their best effort to the community. I think Ghana can be like the beacon of West Africa.
Yeah, true,
right?
True.
Yeah.
That's a good vision. I see it too.
Yeah.
Because, there's so much diversity here and so many people just coming here in droves. So it's impressive. And I have seen a lot of changes just since I visited in 2018.
Gotcha.
But I've been here for 2 years, and in 2 years I've seen so much, many changes.
And you can see people have their eyes, like even last year when I seen the amount of people that came for Dirty December.
Dirty December.
Dirty December. Right?
Dirty.
My bad, my accent. Right. A lot of influencers that been running around America, like people that usually go to Miami.
Yeah.
Or LA.
Now they're here. This is a hot spot.
Yeah.
I'll be here this time. I haven't experienced it yet.
Okay.
This would be my first time. Well, how about you?
I haven't experienced it yet.
What?
Either.
Nah, you got to come out here.
I know I got to come.
You got to come.
And it's almost December now.
Yeah. You might as well just extend the ticket.
I know.
That's what I'm telling my girlfriend, like, just extend the ticket. Yeah. But, you know, you have family, so I understand. But, all right. So do you want to discourage you from starting a life here in Ghana or investing in the country? I
think people that have a natural ignorance to what Africa is, they always discourage you.
Yeah.
It's been plenty of times that I went back to America and I let people know that I was an African. They're like, for what?
Exactly.
You know? Or when I tell them that I'm going to Africa, they like, make sure you get all your shots. So that's some of the technology that was taught to us early on in our early years through, technology or whatever. But those are the people that I realized, you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right. So of course, growing up in school, we was called every name because we had the accent, we had the nappy hair, we couldn't dress,
I got called the same name.
Yeah, so
as a Jamaican.
So now, that's been going on for so long that it's just in one ear right at the other.
Exactly.
So, but if people know how they feel when they get here, I had 2 brothers that came in last night, and I didn't know this was their first night. So they came out with me last night, and they was like, "Wow." They was like, "Is there any other opportunities like this?" I was like, "Most definitely."
Yeah.
Like they loved the place that we was at, and it was like, "Wow." And I was like, so then when we got in the car, I was like, when y'all get here? So we got here this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I came here, I was expecting more of a tribal look. I didn't expect, you do have the tribal parts of Ghana, but when you come, it's so much modern, homes, modern nightclubs, modern, active. Oh my gosh, it's an adult playground.
For me, that's why Ghana is winning, because for us spoiled Americans or spoiled people from the West, we can kind of get our 4 or 5 star living that we used to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's why when I complain, they thinking I'm coming back to America. Absolutely not. Because everywhere has problems.
Yeah. One of my, the things that my son noticed when he got here, he's 13. He said, "Dad, this Coca-Cola costs 38 cents. I was like, wow. And then he got 2 pizzas for $6. He's like,
exactly.
I got 2 pizzas for $6.
Exactly.
Like my son was walking to the store by himself. Yeah.
Now, Accra is one of the most expensive African cities, but it's still pretty much, it's much more affordable than New York or,
definitely.
Any other place I've lived.
Yep.
So what advice would you have for anyone who wants to just experience Ghana, maybe travel here for the first time or invest? What advice would you have for them if they have discouraged, people discouraging them like they tried to discourage you?
For one, you got to ask the reason why, right? And let me just say this. There's so many nationalities of people here. And if you are of African descent and this is not on your radar to take a vacation, but you can go to other countries and say, hey, I'm here, you got to ask yourself why. Yeah. You got to ask yourself why, who told you what they told you, that the other countries were so much better. And then they told you that it was a boogeyman here, but book that flight, just come, visit, realize there is no boogeyman, and realize that you will be taken care of. You have people like me that you can reach out to and get advice from. You got people like Lala that you can reach out and get advice from. Just make a connection. And when you get here and you feel the energy and you feel and see how just the spiritual benefit of being here, how much it helps you. Once you realize that, you're going to be like, I'm going to have a hard time going back.
For real. Once your eyes open up, Yeah. So, do you have any final words or anywhere, any socials where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not 100% really active on IG, but I do have an IG, and it's Musah Lotallah, or it's Musah_Lotallah. I'm on Facebook, Musah Lotallah also. And for the people that want to change and want to see something different, and if you're stuck and you're just trying to find a little slice of heaven or a little bit more peace, definitely give Africa a try.
Yeah.
Because you're going to realize, and this is the quote that I want you to take away. Are you willing to die for what you're living for?
Exactly.
Right? So if you can answer that question and you realize, I don't need another PS6, or I don't need the latest pair of shoes. Like, that's not making me happy. I don't need a bigger flat screen TV. You know, I don't need all of this stuff that's not my happiness. Find some true happiness. Come somewhere and enjoy. Come and feel some community. Come and see some kids that still play out in the streets and some good organic food.
Yes.
Right? Come and see something else. Come just try something different.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, us being from Africa or Jamaica, it is not much of a culture shock for us coming here, but it's still some slight culture shock. But for the people that he just mentioned, like, you know, people coming from America, you maybe never experienced this. Ask yourself, are you existing, or are you living?
Yeah.
Are you living your life? Don't wait for vacation to come to Ghana. I mean, if you want to make it your first vacation, yes, but come here for a little while, experience it. And that's the only way you will be able to really make a, good decision.
There's one little quick story. It was a guy, he's like in Elmina, and you guys might not know what Elmina is. Elmina is about 3 hours south of where we are in Accra. And this guy said, basically, when he found his land that he was going to build his house on, he pitched a tent right next to the land and didn't go back to America, and just built his house, but he lived inside a tent until his house was done.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah. Wait, is it here?
It was here.
Right? You know this guy?
Yeah.
You got to connect me.
Yeah, I met this guy in Elmina.
Yeah.
So
you got to give me his contact.
Yeah, when he told me that, I was like, that's dedication. Like, he's like, I'm not going back. I'm gonna live in a tent, me and my wife.
I felt like I was living in a tent when I moved here. I was living in Coco Brite.
Oh, for real?
What? Like,
she came straight to the beach.
The beach was paradise. I felt like I was living, forget the home and how it looks or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes you got to make a sacrifice to really, if you're worried about validation or what people think about where you're living or the moves you're making, you're really not going to make, much of a like your life is not going to be satisfactory. You're going to continue looking for validation. And if you can't sacrifice for a year or two to get ahead, then this may not be the move for you, unless you're a man of means or a woman of means and you just have the money to blow. But sometimes when it's worth it to you, you will sacrifice the money, the career, the lifestyle that you're used to in America.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy here. So I will sacrifice whatever.
It's a lot of rich people in America that's miserable.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a lot of people that drive into their garage every evening, don't come back out, and they're miserable.
Exactly.
They got a house in the burb. They open their garage, go in, don't come back out. The next day, rinse and repeat.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank you for meeting with me on such short notice. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope we were able to give you guys some insight today. And thank you for watching. One love.
Thank you.
Bye.